Well, there is a new political ad that's adding fuel to the fire in New Jersey right now in an already very rough race for governor. Critics say that Democrat Jon Corzine hit rival Chris Christie below the belt, you might say, with a new ad that attacks Christie for, quote, throwing his weight around. If you get what we mean, Mike Huckabee, Governor Mike Huckabee, is the host of Huckabee, of course, and a former presidential candidate. We love your show.
Well, thank you.
And we're so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in today, Governor.
Pleasure.
Let's take a look at this ad together so we can get your thoughts on it. Let's roll it.
If you drove the wrong way down a one-way street, causing an accident and putting the victim in a trauma center, would you get away without a ticket? Chris Christie did. If you were caught speeding in an unregistered car, would you get away without points? Chris Christie did. In both cases, Christie threw his weight around as U.S. attorney and got off easy. If you didn't pay your taxes, ignored ethics laws, would you get away with it? Chris Christie. One set of rules for himself, another for everyone else.
You see the way the words kind of go over his face there, so that all you can see is the rest of his body. Now, there's a number of accusations in that ad that Chris Christie says are not true. This has been a very feisty debate in New Jersey. What do you think about that ad? Is that fair?
Well, it's foolish to me on Corzine's part. And if Christie's smart, what he's going to do is come out and say, look, I'm overweight. Corzine is incompetent. I can go on a diet. What's he going to do? Game over. He really has an opportunity to checkmate this thing, and I hope he'll come out and do it, because you got to remember that if 60% of the American people are overweight or obese, if Corzine is attacking him for his weight,
they're going to feel attacked, right?
Sure, they're going to say this guy doesn't understand how tough it is to fight the weight issue, and if he thinks that's the, quote, biggest thing in the governor's race, he shouldn't be governor.
But, you know, it brings to mind, though, this whole question of physical appearance, and you lost a lot of weight. You wrote a book about it. So when you're a political figure in this day and age, you know, William Taft had the great fortune of, you know, having been elected before. But my children can tell you that he was the fattest president ever, because it's in all of those, you know, sort of helpful facts about presidents.
Couldn't get out of a bathtub and things like that.
So, I mean, how important is weight? Because New Jersey folks who support him have also, you know, on the side said, gee, you know, it'd really be great if he could lose some weight.
Well, unfortunately, it is a part of the whole perception that people have. I don't think it determines whether a person is competent to govern or whether they have good judgment. May just be some issues. You know, if people stop and think about it, if many people who battle the issue with weight would say, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm there too. But it does factor in as much from appearance standpoint, but to some people, they just want their politicians to be almost airbrushed. They want them to be something they're not. And that's sometimes a problem.
But you're saying he should use that to his advantage. He should say, look, you know, my flaws are right out there. But let's talk about governing. Let's get back to the issues. You think that's going to work for him? That's a very tight race. If we could pull up the poll numbers, I think we have the most recent poll numbers for this race, and, you know, there. It's tightened up quite a bit. I mean, he had an 11% lead, Chris Christie, New Jersey. I follow this closely because I'm a New Jersey person myself. But it's also a real bellwether for what's going on in the country, right? This is an important race nationally.
It's still a big deal, though, that you have a Republican challenger leading a Democrat incumbent in New Jersey, which is not exactly what you would call the reddest state in, you know, America. Any race is going to tighten up. Corzine has an unlimited amount of money that he's able to put into the race. But I think Christie still has this great opportunity. One, to do what I said before, push it back on Corzine in terms of this is about competence, not about corpulence. But the other issue...
That's a good line. Did they hear that?
It's free. He can use it if he wants to.
Not about corpulence.
But the other thing that I think he can truly do is to be able to say, look, this ought to be about issues as to how this state is going to go forward. And my eating habits are not nearly as bad as the fact that Corzine has been eating up the tax dollars of the people of New Jersey. That's what worries every New Jersey family.
Have you sent him a copy of your book?
No, but I should.